This entire thing is filled. It's filled with fish. Oh, don't fall. That's enough. I also did something that I'll probably never ever do again. I knew these fish were at the fish store weeks ago. It might have even been a month or so ago. And I came home and I wanted to sleep on it. I never do that. I know, I'm maturing. I came home and my version of sleeping on it was, I'm going to set these aquariums up for these specific fish, and then I'm gonna go back to the pet store weeks, if not like a month later, and let's hope they're still there. Fortunately, they were. First fish you guys might even know about. There's a couple of them in here. I told you guys, I'm gonna come around. I told you guys I really wanted to keep them for a long time. And I questioned it, but I was like, sorry. I didn't mean to hit you. But I told you guys, like, these guys are so readily available. They're so basic. They're so easy to keep. They breed readily, and they're so cheap. And I went home thinking, does that really matter to me? Does that lower their value just because they're cheap and everybody got them? Does that mean I can't have them? This one's for me, and it's also for you, for those guys that really want to have them or want to see them or try them. Okay, just take them out of the bag. These are the Amatittalia nigrofasciata. Incredibly fancy name when you say it like that, isn't it? Where'd they go? The Convict cichlid. The ones that I wanted were still there. We got a breeding male and female. This will be the female. Obviously in the bag, they're not gonna be very colored up. They're not gonna be very happy at all. The male wants out. But I have a tank specifically for them. It's one of the 40-gallon breeders that you see behind me in the podcast, and there's other fish that I haven't even made videos about that everybody's starting to see and pestering me, so clearly I need to catch up. I'm just gonna put them in the tank over here, just float them, just get them out of the way. Yeah, I love the Convict. I love their coloration, I love their simplicity, I love everything about them. They're incredibly affordable, readily, they breed so easily. I mean, if you wanna get a little bit of everything from the cichlid world, I highly suggest you consider Convicts. I love the fact that they're black and blue or black and bluish, a little bit of orange or red on some of their bellies, depending on the species. Yeah, I like them, basic as they are. Everything else in this box is the same fish, and it was a very risky purchase because I set up their tank specifically for them, with them specifically in mind. So it was kind of dangerous to go ahead and get these guys without knowing for darn sure that the aquarium is, or that they're still gonna be there, but I got them anyway. They are the Melachromis auratus. Okay, so you see like the yellow ones and black stripes versus the blue ones and black stripes. So the blue ones, and like they're blue and black, those are the males. The yellow ones are the females, or they're immature males. Common names: golden ambuna, golden cichlid, and I think golden Malawi cichlid, something like that. All of their names revolve around the fact that they are golden. Here's the fun fact. This is, there's 18 of them, and it is a breeding group. Any more in there? Yeah, there's 18 of them. It is a breeding group. They're going into a 120 all by themselves. They are actively breeding. Some of the females, I think 2 or 3 of them, are actually holding the fry in their mouths, which unfortunately, they're probably gonna spit them out too soon in this tank. But once they settle in, they'll get right back to it. Anyways, I'm really excited about these guys. We don't have a Malawi tank out here, and I've never personally kept them, even though these guys are incredibly common and incredibly readily available and very easy to keep. I am absolutely fascinated with their breeding behaviors. Of course, how the males versus the females look. It's almost like you buy one fish, but you get two in the, you buy one fish where I'm excited. You get one fish where they all kind of look like the females, but over time, some of them change to a completely different fish, and instead of just having the yellows and blacks, you start getting some blues, and it's just a fantastic fish. Okay, dry goods. I love this type of stuff too. I grabbed a few plants while I was there. I grabbed like a floating plant. This will go in the Lake Tanganyika aquarium. And then I just grabbed some spiky moss. This is gonna go in one of the 180s that I'm working on. I'd like to test with just a few things of moss before I actually add a ton of plants in there. I wanna make sure that like the lights that, you know, those just from the hardware store type of deal are actually gonna grow plants before I commit to anything else. Okay, as for food, got a lot of food. For example, I go through a ton of this. Jeff knows it. He sees how much I buy. Jeff is the owner of One Fish, Two Fish in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. But if we look, May 2021, we're in November, almost December. It's expired. Does that mean it's no good? No, a few months isn't gonna hurt anything, but it does mean that before you buy a piece, any food, look at the expiration date. See when it expires. Has it expired? If it's only like a month or two, go to the till and say, look, this is expired. Can I get a deal on it? A lot of times they'll mark this down 50% off or so because some people will spot it and automatically not buy it. Look at this one, October 2021. Does the food go bad in a sealed bag? I mean, if it was like 3 years old, maybe, but all that's really gonna happen is you gotta worry about yeast bugs or any sort of moisture getting in there, and that will cause real problems. But for the most part, expired food, even if it's within a year, all it's really losing is a very small amount of nutrients. But a couple of months or a month, it's pretty much still brand new. Every food has to have an expiration date. With that said, Jeff sees how much food I buy, and I was gonna get all this stuff, all this expired foods and stuff, and he's like, just take it. But man, do I appreciate this. And this stuff is gonna last me a long, long, long time. This is gonna last me quite a while. Well, sort of. I'm not gonna pick both of these up. They're 50 pounds a piece. But we got some sand, very fine sand. This is for the final 180 on the far right. I have no clue what's going in there or what I'm doing, by the way. It's the first tank where I'm just setting it up because I wanted to see what something would look like, and I'm loving it. I have no idea what's gonna go in it. I'm definitely gonna need some feedback. I think members only seen it, and if you watch the podcast, you can see it in the background, so you get an idea there. 100 pounds of that sand, probably won't use it all, but whatever I don't use, I'm gonna use in the 40s and whatnot. Then I grabbed a tiny little skimmer. It's technically only made for like a 65 gallon, with a tremendous amount of coral in it. I'm using it on a tank that just has Kevin in it in a 120 gallon, but because it's just him and no coral or anything, this is gonna be perfectly fine. I do already have skimmers, but a couple of them go in sumps and others are hang on the backs, and there's just no room, and I don't want it to look too crazy, so I don't know. You'll see it in the future, I guess. Okay, the next one, there's a story behind it. So all of these aquariums here, including the Archer Aquarium and the Oscar Aquarium, if we look on the ends, well, I've blacked them out now so it looks like it's just the aquarium, but if we look in, we can see the filter that I built, right? We built the filter, we also built the lights, the lights. We also built the lids for each one of these out of a double wall polycarbonate paneling. Well, technically I only bought enough to build 4 filters and lids for 4 of these tanks. So these two have been on hold. And just, oh, careful, Joey. These aquariums have been on hold waiting for me to build a filter, but I just don't have the material and I've got to wait. And do I got to wait? Well, typically I'd order it and within a week the materials are here. But over the last 2 years, it's tough to get anything. And they're not going to have that restocked until late February, possibly March. So those tanks will stay empty unless I do something about it. So I was like, okay, let me go grab a couple canister filters that I can fit in between the tanks and run them up over it, right in here. I only have about 8-10 inches of space. And I already have a bunch of canister filters here, but none of them fit in that area. So I grabbed a couple of these Eheim Classic 600s. They're only rated for 600 liters. What the heck is that? So they're rated for up to 158 gallons. Being such a I opened one. And this is the thing that I actually like about Eheim. Again, I paid for these. They're not a sponsor or anything like that. Here's what I like about Eheim. I hate these metal clips. They're so flimsy and cheap. Here's what I like. Actually appreciate about these. So, a little sponge, mechanical filtration. That's all you really actually need in one of these. And then the rest of this giant barrel, which probably holds almost a gallon, probably more, that's what I'm talking about. And it's gonna buy me 3 to 6 months, right? Oh, so this is the brackish water aquarium. Of course, you guys remember it. Everybody's doing absolutely phenomenal in here. Anyways, one of the things that you could do with a brackish water aquarium is add trees. Yeah, trees. I specifically mean mangrove. So I wake up this morning and there's a package at the door, and a company sent me a bunch of mangrove trees. I just have it in the overflow right now because I got to figure out how I'm going to put them in this tank. or if I'll maybe give them a specific light. So they're just jammed in there right now just to get by for a couple of days till I figure out what I'm going to do. The cool thing about that is the company that sent them, I've actually ordered quite a few plants from them in the past. It's Aquascape Room Canada, I believe it's called. Yeah, I had to look it up. aquascaperoom.ca is where I get a lot of my plants. Anyways, that's what I did today. That was my trip to my local fish store. That was the unboxing. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed to my podcast, link is in the description. I love doing the podcast, by the way. I don't know if it's linked in the description, but it's called Aquarium's Unfiltered Podcast. Literally an unfiltered conversation between two like-minded aquarium hobbyists. Sometimes it goes nowhere, sometimes it goes into a rabbit hole of conversation, sometimes it's just funny, sometimes it's educational. But one thing I do know is that I never know what we're gonna talk about. I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, goodbye. I'm gonna do put the fish in their new tanks.